the modeling of subtracting integers. On my page, I start out with 2, and I'm going to take away 3 from that number. To model this with tiles, I'm going to start with the 2 that I have to begin with, and I want to take away positive 3 from that. However, I don't have enough to do that. I could bring in 0 pairs, and you can see that my value is still equivalent to what it was before at positive 2. That's because I have a value of a positive and negative linked together, indicating that that is a value of 0. So even though I've added 2 tiles, my value has remained the same of 2. And if I write 2 on my page, you can see that it is also marked blue, indicating that that is the value of the models on my page. Now I can ask myself, do I have 3 positives that I can take away from this? I do. So if I now remove the 3 positives, I am left with 1 negative, and you can see the remaining value is equivalent to the expression of 2 minus 3. Now we could model this another way. It might be your preference to do this a little differently with algebra tiles. Let me model that for you. I start out with 2, but maybe I want to add 3 sets of 0 pairs instead of 2, representing the takeaway of positive 3. So I can do that right here. So I'm going to add in 3 sets of 0 pairs. So now when I look at this, maybe this is a better representation of the model, but you can see that you come out with the same answer. So I start with 2, so now I can take away my positive 3, and my next step is to cancel out any 0 pairs that I can pull out. So these 2 can be a 0 pair, and again, if I write 0 over here, you can see that that is valued at 0. I can make 1 more 0 pair, and what I'm left with, again, is negative 1. All 3 of my expressions are now equivalent on the page. Let's model this on a number line. I start out with positive 2, and now I'm going to take away 3. And where I end up is at negative 1. Now in this example, I start out with negative 3, and I'm taking away from it negative 2. So let's model this. I start out with 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to take away from that negative 2. Can I take away negative 2 from what I have currently modeled? Yes, I can. I can pull out from that model 1, 2, and what I'm left with is negative 1. Again, we'll model this on our number line. I'm going to start this with negative 3, going in the negative direction, so identify this as negative 3. And I'm going to take away from that negative 2. So I'm going to go in the opposite direction, negative 2. So I've canceled out my debt of 2, and I end up in negative 1. Let me give you an example of a scenario where this might work. I owe my brother $3, but I do something kind for him, so he cancels $2 of my debt. So now I just owe him $1. Okay, here's a third example. In this example, I start with positive 3, 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to take away from that negative 2. Do I have negative 2 to take away? I do not, but I can add 0 pairs to create that scenario. So 1 0 pair and a second 0 pair. Now I have the ability to take away negative 2. So let's take away 1, 2. Relinking them, you'll notice that the two expressions are the same. So when I count up to value them, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That makes this positive 5. You can see that all three are now equivalent. Now, how does this look on a number line? I start out in the positive direction of 3, and I'm going to take away from that negative 2. Now, when we look over here, when we took away negative 2, we went in the opposite that we did down here. So we go to the right. When we take away positive numbers, we go to the left. When we take away negative numbers, we go in the opposite of adding them, which is to the right. So that means that I'm going to take away negative 2, and that takes me to positive 5.